There is a troubling thing now happening in Cameroon as far as the constitutional revision is concerned. And I see some people happy that, the post of vice president is going to be created, blah, 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 which means that Cameroon is going to have an Anglophone as president someday or vice president. Come on, are you guys serious? Are you guys really serious? History is repeating itself before us and we are taking it for a joke. Before I come and actually ask if you guys are serious, let me ask, do we have a serious opposition party in Cameroon? Or the few who parade themselves as opposition party, are they really opposition party of this country? Do they really mean well for the country? Civil society, those who parade themselves as civil society, do they really mean well for this country? Because in other countries, this shenanigans which is happening, this thing that's happening now at the parliament, which they are using a constitutional channel to carry out to make an act become constitutional, which is repugnant to the existing framework under which Cameroon should be or under which democracy should be. And you guys are there clapping, oh yeah. History is repeating itself, especially the Anglophones. When Amadou Ahidjo was president, the constitution at the time stipulated who was supposed to be the constitutional successor. It was supposed to be the prime minister, you understand? It was supposed to be the vice president. You had the speaker of the House of Assembly. The speaker of the House of Assembly at the time was supposed to take over. The government. Then at one point in time, it became the vice president. Who was the vice president of Cameroon? Cameroon had Solomon Tandemunya. Solomon Tandemunya was the vice president and also the speaker of the House of Assembly. But when Ahidjo was about to be resigned, the same way we're experiencing this same history, there was a constitutional amendment. The constitutional amendment occurred towards the period when Ahidjo was about to resign. There was a constitutional amendment. And when Ahidjo resigned, they changed it from now to the speaker to the prime minister of the republic. And there was a prime minister that was appointed, which is President Paul Biya. Biya was appointed as the prime minister, a constitutional successor. Immediately was appointed, Ahidjo resigned. There is a constitutional coup. I see Anglophones that they're celebrating, vice president. What is the use of a vice president that cannot be elected? Have you read the constitutional amendment? The constitutional amendment says the vice president will be appointed and can be dismissed by the head of state. Now, under what grounds should we even celebrate this kind of issue? Under what makes it different from the prime ministerial position? If the vice president can be appointed and dismissed at any ground, does that give any powers to the vice president? It's the same like a prime minister. It's the same like a DO. The president appoints a DO. The president appoints a vice president. The vice president has nothing to do with the DO because all of these are political appointees. They don't have the mandate of the people. In a democratic setting, all the current democracy that you see that has vice president, any vice presidential person who is not elected jointly with the president, that is a fiasco. In fact, what they are simply doing is that they are rebranding. They are rebranding what used to have. They are rebranding. They are changing the packaging. You understand? But the content stands still. Is the same. Nothing is going to change. Nothing. See, some of you may think I am joking. You understand? Let me read some of the proposed amendments. And it is very funny that we are not seeing the opposition parties coming together and mobilize and say no to this kind of hasty constitutional reform. We need constitutional reforms, but not this kind of selective reforms. We need serious constitutional reforms. One of the issues is also the voting age of Cameroonians. This is the moment when they should deliberate about the voting age of Cameroonians. That no, you know what, let's put it at 18 because at 18 you are considered a major. At 18 you can take law and you can take decision. You can carry out acts. You can represent the country. You can be elected. You can be recruited to work within the government and the military at 18 years. At 18 years you can die for your country. At 18 years you can represent your country. But at 18 years you cannot vote. Instead of these opposition members to see that, okay, let us push for this particular amendment. Let us see that it's amended. They are not. 18, 19, 20. Yes, these three groups of people are not eligible to vote. But these three groups of people can do everything, can accept criminal responsibility, but they are not eligible to vote. And you see members of opposition in the parliament are there clamoring, saying that, we are in a minority. What can we do? My friend, you can do a lot being in a minority. Being a minority can do a lot. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do in the minority. You are there. How many people? The people looked up to you. If you think it's not working, walk out of the parliament. Walk out. Come back and mobilize your base. Mobilize your base. Come back from the parliament. Mobilize your base. Get civil society. Get members of civil rights groups. They should speak out. They have that right to speak out. You are saying that what should we do? What should we do? You are serious? Because you are not willing to sacrifice. You are just there for, most of you are just there for your pocket. How do you appoint? This new constitutional amendment says you are going to appoint a vice president, and can be sacked at any time. How do you appoint a vice president and can sack? Then what is the essence of that constitutional amendment? What is the role that the prime minister cannot do? Because it's like the prime minister. You say he will assist the president. Once there is a constitutional amendment that strictly states what the vice president can do, what the president can do, it is enough to build the nation. You are there making noise on social media. Oh, thank God, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Who even told you that the vice president that we appointed will be an Anglophone? Who even told you that will be an Anglophone? It occurred when Aijo was why Aijo was to resign. They can say, no, Anglophone is already the prime minister, because if you look at the constitution, they keep emphasizing on prime minister. Anglophone is the prime minister. Let's appoint a Anglophone as and this is an opportunity for President Pobia to even appoint anybody, including his son. He has the right to appoint his son if this bill, as the bill will go through, he has the right to appoint his son as the vice president. And the vice president take over the mandate and continue, and nobody will do the son anything. It's not a political position anyway. It's not a political position. So the son probably maybe is a way to bypass the CPDM party. Something is happening before you. This is an opportunity for Biafra to say, okay, if this bill go through, he signs and appoint his son. He appoint any of his son. He can appoint Frank as the vice president, because the constitution, he is constitutionally operating under the mandate. And his son takes over and becomes the president of Cameroon and run his mandate, finish his mandate the rest of the 6 years or 7 years, or any, depending on when he wants to resign. When the son takes over and continue and launch a fresh election. Sometimes some of you are there, you are blind, and your members of parliament, they are the problem of what we're experiencing. Let me tell you, first of all, it also says that the vice president mandate may not exceed 7 years, which means the vice president mandate can extend it above 7 years. Above 7 years. Which means that if the president is there and the vice president is there, the president decides to give up and the vice president can be there for a long time. May. Let me read it to you. Some of you, sometimes when you say that we need to really look into this country, some people will come and be saying something else. You understand? This is it. Let me read it to you. This is it. It says that Article 7. In fact, let me go to 9. Article 6, sub 9. The interim president of the republic may neither amend the constitution nor composition of the government. He may not organize a referendum or for the office of the president. Now, that's not what interests me. What interests me is the president. The president-elect shall assume office once he has been sworn in. He shall take the oath of office. The Cameroonian people, before the Cameroonian people, in the presence of members of parliament, the Constitutional Council, and the Supreme Court meeting solemn session, he shall be sworn in by the President of the National Assembly. Article 7, sub 3 says, in the case referred to in Article 6 above, the Vice President shall take the oath of office as soon as the vacancy is notified under the terms and conditions laid down by the law. He shall assume office once he has been sworn in. The office of the President of the Republic and Vice President shall be incompatible with any other elective public office or professional activity. Article 10, sub 1. The President of the Republic shall appoint the Vice President. Shall appoint the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and on the proposition of letter that is the proposition of the vice president and the prime minister, the president can now appoint other members of government. This includes ministers, DOs, other administrative appointees. The president, he shall define the duties. He shall have a defined duties. He shall terminate the appointment. That is, the president shall terminate the appointment. He shall preside over the council of ministers. The president of the republic may delegate some of his powers. May delegate. Not that in fact, the job of the president, of the vice president, is not clear. What will he be doing? The president may delegate the vice president. The vice president or the prime minister or other members of government and any other senior administrative official of the state within the framework of their respective duties. Article 10, sub 3. Where the president of the republic is temporarily unable to perform his duties, he shall delegate the vice president, it's not that where he's unable to perform his duties, the vice president shall assume. He say he again, the president, shall choose who to delegate, shall delegate the vice president or the prime minister, and should the latter also be unavailable, any other members of government to discharge his duty within the framework of an express delegation of his powers. Now, Article 53. The court of impeachment shall have jurisdiction in respect of acts in the exercise of their duties to try the president of the republic for treason, the vice president, the prime minister, other members of government. You see, this is just nuance. First of all, the president can dismiss you at any time, so he does not need the court of impeachment because you are born on a joint ticket. Second, the president of the republic may be indicted only by the National Assembly and the Senate deciding through an identical vote by open ballot and by forfeit of majority of members. Only forfeit. So forfeit can terminate the president. The vice president will be subjected to the incapability, the same incompatibility rule. Okay, that's sub 50, Article 53, sub 5. Sub 6. Besides the aspect of status, the system of immunities, privileges, benefits, and other related matters concerning the vice president shall be laid down in a subsequent law. So which means that as it stands now, the vice president does not have immunity because there is no law that has granted or stated that where he's going to have immunity. It's to have immunity if subsequent law is going to come some other time. You see why? You see they are creating this loophole to say that okay, they can do whatever they want to do the vice president because he does not have immunity. He can be arrested because he does not have immunity. You understand? Now, it is difficult to just arrest a vice president on a joint ticket because the ballot protects the vice president. A president and a vice who are jointly elected, the vice president can only be impeached by a competent court. The president cannot sack the vice president. And so, which give the vice president the ability to also give meaningful contribution because his own line of action, his activity are well streamlined. Moreover, okay, this is 55, the last paragraph. Moreover, instituting the office of vice president within the institutional framework offers the following advantages. Why don't people talk about disadvantage? The advantages are: 1, establishing a potential tandem that can enhance efficiency and running state affairs while evaluating the level of representation. Now, you see, they now came back and talk about the Article 66. Now, Article 66, they say the president of the republic, the vice president, the prime minister, and members of government, and person ranking as such, the president and the members of Bureau of the National Assembly, the president and members of Bureau of the Senate, members of Parliament, senators, directors of the Central Administration, general managers of public and public enterprises of the judiciary and legal officers, administrative personnel charged with the business shall declare their assets and properties at the beginning and at the end of their tenure in office did President Paul Biya declare his as the new president of this was already in the constitution. This one I'm reading are proposed amendment which we'll go through, but this article 66 was already in the constitution of the 1996 constitution. Nothing has changed. You see, I'm telling you that we have a system where the opposition parties and civil society groups and those who call themselves civil society groups are all part of the problem we have in Cameroon. Are all part of the problem. What is wrong with the prime minister position? Why don't you just simply say the prime minister take over? Now they are capitalizing on the prime minister, which means that even the vice president is not the one directly concerned. He's only there for constitutional succession, because the president can determine who will represent him when he's incapacitated. It's there in the constitution, in the proposed constitution. And you are there shouting, oh, change has come. What change has come? What change has come? We live in a system where members of opposition are there to glorify their pocket and to look at what needs to be done to change the nation, to move the nation forward. And people are there celebrating change. Which change? Which change has come? Which change has come? Tell me which change has come.